Welcome to your lecture on Jungian psychology. Carl Jung was an early supporter of Sigmund Freud because of their shared interest in the unconscious. However, in 1912, while on a lecture tour of America, Jung publicly criticized Freud's theory of the Oedipus complex and his emphasis on infantile sexuality. This led to an irrevocable split between them, and Jung went on to develop his own version of psychoanalytic theory. This chart will show us the important differences between Freud and Jung's work. So as for the libido, Freud said that it was a source of psychic energy specific to sexual gratification. Jung explored this as a psychic energy which motivated a range of behaviors. As for the unconscious, Freud thought of it as a storehouse for unacceptable, repressed desires specific to the individual. Jung looked at the unconscious as a storehouse of repressed memories specific to the individual and our ancestral past. As for the cause of behavior, Freud said that this was largely due to past experiences, particularly from childhood. Jung said that this had to do with our past experiences in addition to our future aspirations. The theory of the libido. For Jung, the purpose of psychic energy was to motivate the individual in a number of important ways, including spiritually, intellectually, and creatively. It was also an individual's motivational source for seeking pleasure and reducing conflict. Theory of the unconscious. Jung regarded the psyche as made up of a number of separate but interacting systems. The three main ones were the ego, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. The ego represents the conscious mind as it comprises the thoughts, memories, and emotions a person is aware of. The ego is largely responsible for feelings of identity and continuity. The personal unconscious is the first layer of unconscious and contains forgotten information and repressed memories. The collective unconscious is Jung's most original and controversial contribution to personality theory. This is a level of unconscious shared with other members of the human species, comprising latent memories from our ancestral and evolutionary past. According to Jung, the human mind has innate characteristics imprinted on it as a result of evolution. These universal predispositions stem from our ancestral past. Fear of the dark or of snakes and spiders might be examples. However, more important than isolated tendencies are those aspects of the collective unconscious that have developed into separate subsystems of the personality. Jung called these ancestral memories and images archetypes. Archetypes are images and themes which have universal meanings across cultures, which may show up in dreams, literature, art, or religion. Jung believed symbols from different cultures are often very similar because they have emerged from archetypes shared by the whole human race, which are a part of our collective unconscious. For Jung, our primitive past becomes the basis of the human psyche, directing and influencing present behavior. Jung claimed to identify a large number of archetypes, but paid special attention to 4. Jung labeled these archetypes the self, the persona, the shadow, and the anima or animus. The persona or mask is the outward face we present to the world. It conceals our real self, and Jung describes it as the conformity archetype. This is the public face or role a person presents to others as someone different to who we really are, much like an actor. The anima or animus is the mirror image of our biological sex, that is, the unconscious feminine side in males and the masculine tendencies in women. Each sex manifests attitudes and behavior of the other by virtue of centuries of living together. The psyche of a woman contains masculine aspects, which is the animus archetype, and the psyche of a man contains feminine aspects, which is the anima archetype. The shadow is the animal side of our personality. It is the source of both our creative and destructive energies. In line with evolutionary theory, it may be that Jung's archetypes reflect predispositions that once had survival value. The self provides a sense of unity in experience. For Jung, the ultimate aim of every individual is to achieve a state of selfhood. This is similar to the idea of self-actualization known in yoga. That was certainly Jung's belief, and in his book, The Undiscovered Self, he argued that many of the problems of modern life are caused by man's progressive alienation from his instinctual foundation. One aspect of this is his views on the significance of the anima and the animus. Jung argues that these archetypes are products of the collective experience of men and women living together. However, in modern Western civilization, men are discouraged from living their feminine side and women from expressing masculine tendencies. For Jung, the result was that the full psychological development of both sexes was undermined. Together with the prevailing patriarchal culture of Western civilization, this has led to the devaluation of feminine qualities altogether, and the predominance of the persona or mask has elevated insincerity to a way of life which goes unquestioned by millions in their everyday life. Jung's ideas have not been as popular as Freud's. This might be because he did not write for the layman, and as such his ideas were not as greatly disseminated as Freud's. It may also be because his ideas were a little more mystical and obscure and less clearly explained. On the whole, modern psychology has not viewed Jung's theory of archetypes kindly. Ernest Jones tells that Jung descended into a pseudo-philosophy out of which he never emerged, and to many his ideas look more like New Age mystical speculation than a scientific contribution to psychology. However, while Jung's research into ancient myths and legends, his interest in astrology and fascination with Eastern religion can be seen in that light, it is also worth remembering that the images he was writing about have, as a matter of historical fact, exerted an enduring hold on the human mind. Furthermore, Jung himself argues that the constant recurrence of symbols from mythology and personal therapy and in the fantasies of psychotics support the idea of an innate collective cultural residue. In line with evolutionary theory, it may be that Jung's archetypes reflect predispositions that once had survival value. Jung proposed that human responses to archetypes are similar to instinctual responses in animals. One criticism of Jung is that there is no evidence that archetypes are biologically based or similar to animal instincts. Rather than being seen as purely biological, more recent research suggests that archetypes emerge directly from our experiences and are reflections of linguistic or cultural characteristics. Jung's work has also contributed to mainstream psychology in at least one significant respect. He was the first to distinguish the two major attitudes or orientations of personality, extroversion and introversion. He also identified four basic functions, thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuiting, which in a cross-classification yielded 8 pure personality types. Psychologists like Hans Enziek and Raymond Cattell have subsequently built upon this. As well as being a cultural icon for generations of psychology undergraduates, Jung therefore put forward ideas which were important to the development of modern personality theory.